Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jordan with the Laundromat Resource Podcast. This is show 117, and I'm pumped you're here today. Partially because this is the first ever Laundromat Resource Podcast episode where the interview was conducted shirtless. And we're joined today by shirtless Cory. We have a really great time, a lot of fun talking, but also there's a lot of really great information in here. Cory owns a couple of laundromats, and he is also on the prowl, on the hunt for a couple more. And so we talk a lot about how he got into the business, how what he's learned since being in the business, and he shares some really great lessons and what he's doing to find the next couple of laundromats that he wants to pick up as he's building his empire out there in Wisconsin. So it's a really great episode today. We have a lot of fun again, and we are in fact shirtless. And we'll talk about why that is in the interview. But two things real quick before we jump in with shirtless Cory is number one, just wanted to take a second to celebrate the first ever Women in the Laundromat Industry meetup that was hosted through Laundromat Resource with Lauren Burkowski, who hosted that. One of the consultants here at Laundromat Resource, multi-store owner, rock star, all around great person. And she hosted that meeting. I hear that it was really, really great. We had over 75 signups, and I know some of you guys couldn't make it, but fear not, because it went so well that Lauren and maybe a couple other women are going to partner up together, and there's going to be something a little more consistent for women to get together and talk about, being in this industry and to problem solve and to share stories and encourage each other and all that stuff. So I'm super duper excited about that. So if you're a woman in the industry, or if you're a woman who hopes to get into the industry, you are welcome to those. So stay tuned for more details about meetings coming up here in the future. You'll be able to see those as they get scheduled at laundromatresource.com/events. And we'll also email out details as we get them. So make sure you're on the email list. Awesome. Okay. The second thing I want to talk about real quick, and huge thank you to Lauren for taking the time and effort. I actually put a lot of work into that. And I think it was I heard a lot of really great things about it. So huge shout out to Lauren for that. Okay. Second thing real quick that I want to talk about before we jump in with shirtless Cory is one of my personal goals with Laundromat Resource is to help you achieve financial freedom through laundromat ownership. And a big part of that, if you know my story, when I got into the business, it did not go well for me. And I ended up losing a whole lot of money, like 6 figures worth of money early on there. And it was just a rough go, and I had nowhere to turn. I didn't know who could help me. And so that's a big part of why I started Laundromat Resource. Well, as a next step on that journey of helping you achieve financial freedom through laundromat ownership, I put together, based on over 400 consulting calls that I've done now, based on weekly webinars that there was interactive Q&A going on during those webinars, based on 117 now podcast episodes where I'm talking with other laundromat owners and industry professionals and getting their wisdom, aside from conversations that I'm just having with owners outside of the podcast, based on my own personal experience owning and buying laundromats, and based on my experience as a broker who helps other people buy and sell laundromats. All this information that I've been gathering over the last almost decade now in this business, I have compiled into a comprehensive course on how to buy a laundromat. And I'm super excited about it because it is everything that you need to know to buy your first laundromat the right way the first time. And it's everything that you need to help you to actually do that. So all the tools, all the resources that you need to actually, number one, value a laundromat. And then number two, verify the performance of that business, which is key during the due diligence period. All of that stuff is compiled in detail, step by step in this course. It's really, really great course. And I'm not saying that because I built it. I'm saying that because kind of we have built that course together. And not only that, but it also will give you for for now at least, it's going to give you access to the pro community if you join that course for now. So check that out. You can check out the link to that course in the show notes, which is at laundromatresource.com/show 117. Or if you're on YouTube, that'll be down below. So that link will be laundromatresource.com/show 117. And all of the links that we talk about today will also be located there on the show notes page. Okay. All right. Let's, you know what? This shirt's feeling a little stuffy now. Let's jump into the interview with shirtless Cory, where we will both be shirtless. All right. Let's see you over there. All right, Cory, what is going on? How you doing today?
Hey, how you doing? I'm doing well. A little bit of snow up here in Wisconsin, but we'll be plowing that later.
All right. I got to explain right now because a lot of people are listening to this on the podcast episode. So you and I are both shirtless. So, I mean, if you feel like you're missing out, you might want to, go from the podcast to the YouTube channel over there. You're in Wisconsin. You're in the snow. It's supposed to be 70 something here in California. So I don't mind being shirtless. What is going on? Why are you, and how did you get me to be shirtless today on this podcast?
Well, when I reached out to you, I was a little bit embarrassed because my Facebook name is Shirtless Cory, which is a story behind. But I didn't want you being like, well, who's this guy? Who's this Shirtless Cory? Is this an OnlyFans thing? What's going on here? So, a little bit background behind my story. I've always been a handy guy, and my shirt comes off quickly, it seems, when the weather's nice. And I get a call from my buddies because they replaced a toilet in their house, right? And they didn't install the wax ring. And now it's leaking down into one of my buddies' bedrooms. No. And it's like, all right, I'll come over there and change it, but you guys got to clean it off first. So as soon as I get over there, this is 12, 15 years ago. They're all on the couch, on their laptops, all on Facebook. So of course I said some derogatory terms and said, "Why don't you idiots get off of Facebook and Google how to change a toilet?" So as I'm changing the toilet, they're like, "Hey, what's your email address? We got something to send you." And then they created this profile of Shirtless Cory, and they invited all of my girlfriend, which is now my wife, all of her friends, everybody. So now everybody's like, well, who's this Shirtless Cory guy? And for years, my wife's been telling me to change it because she hates tagging Shirtless Cory in all these photos of our children.
Right. Yeah.
So, but my thing is, if I change it, I lose. And I'm going to be a winner. So I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah, you can't lose.
Yeah. So it's stuck.
So you are. And then I remember, you reached out to me, said you were interested in coming on the show. And I kind of jokingly was like, hey, okay, you can come on the show, but you got to be shirtless. And here we are.
Here we are.
Shirtless. Yeah. Maybe we'll have a flex off here at the end of this thing or something.
Sounds good.
I will lose miserably. Yes. If you're just listening to this, you could just be confident I will lose miserably. Awesome. All right. Well, who is Shirtless Cory? Tell us a little bit about you, who you are, and how you got into the laundromat industry.
Well, I have a beautiful little family. Got 2 boys. They're 10 and 8, very athletically gifted. Coach their baseball, coach their football. My wife coaches their basketball. She's got a couple state rings she likes to brag about. And I got a 3-year-old daughter, which she's a daddy's girl. Like, she knows how to steal my heart. And I started my journey 10 years ago. Just right after we got married, I bought a rental house. And it was going well. This is amazing. I'm getting all this extra income coming in from this house. And, well, if I have 2, I'll have twice the income. So I started acquiring these properties as we went along. Got into some small multifamily apartments, doing well. But the problem is tenants don't always take care of the properties. And you're going to have the headaches. And it's like, what I need to do is get into the commercial business. I need to get some commercial properties. And they're going to take much better care of their properties. It's a business. So I was looking, and then it fell to the wayside. And then I had raccoons in my attic. And it's like, well, this isn't good. Where are we going with this part of the story, right? So I had raccoons in my attic, and my wife was pregnant at the time with my daughter. And I couldn't just throw the raccoons outside. We had to give them to like an animal sanctuary. A town away, had to drive out there. Turns out the guy was a real estate agent. And he's like, oh, I know you. You're friends with a buddy of mine. It's like, oh, yeah, I know him. So we're kicking it off, and he's like, hey, I got a property that's kind of near your house. You should look into it. So it's like, yeah, all right. I know the property. I know there's a laundromat in there. I used to rob the vending machine back in the day because it's right next to middle school. So when you're a delinquent in middle school,
Yes.
you'd get lost over there.
Yes.
So I knew about it. And then I tried reaching back out to the real estate agent who was just non-responsive, never got back to me. So then I'm driving past one day, and this place is literally 4 minutes from my house. It's very close. And there was a Mercedes sitting in the laundromat parking lot. And it's like, man, that's got to be the owner. So I walk in. Yeah, it was the owner. Had a great conversation with him. We started talking about the building and what it was getting for revenue, and kicked it off. And we made the deal between him and I. And it was one of those things where he's like, well, it's goofy with this property. You kind of got to own and operate the laundromat. And I was one of those guys where it's like, no, I'm not going to buy myself another job. Who goes to a laundromat? Is it even successful?
Right.
No. Self-storage, car washes? Sure. Laundromats? So he's telling me, well, I tell you what you can do. Run it for like 2 months. If you don't like it, you can lease it out to the ice cream shop owner that's one of my tenants. He's like, he'll be more than happy to take it over. You probably get $1,000 a month rent for it. So it's like, well, all right. So now we're doing all the financing things. And I was trying to, for like tax reasons, buy the laundromat separate
Right.
instead of like bundled all together.
Lump sum.
Then
Yeah.
he came to find out, because I'm a newbie to this commercial world. And they're like, well, if you're going to buy the business, you got to have 30% down on it. It's like, oh, that's more down payment than what I'm willing to do. So we lumped it all together, and I acquired the property, and I ran it for about 2 months. Well, let's get to a good part of the story.
Okay.
Day one of the closing.
I thought the raccoons was the good part of.
Well, that's how it all got started.
Okay.
Yeah, raccoons in the attic.
Yeah.
So it's day one of owning this property. We close at 4 o'clock. I meet the owner over there. He hands over just a bundle of keys. He takes out all the quarters. I buy the quarters from him. We're ready to rock. Place is clean. It's unattended laundry. Awesome. Well, I like to be a big shot, at least pretend it. So when we got home that night, it's about 9 o'clock at night. I made my wife a margarita, and to feel special, I smoke a nice fat cigar, right?
Oh yeah. Big
Yeah,
way.
it took me like 7 minutes to get this thing lit, and boom, my phone rings. Like, what is this? Hey, is this the owner of the West Side Laundry? It's like, yeah. It's like, yeah, my clothes are stuck in the washing machine. It's like, well, that's not good. So I can't put the cigar out. I jump in my big white truck, fly down there. So here's this Russian mafia looking guy rolling in his truck. I had a shirt on, cut off sleeves,
Okay.
cigar smoke rolling out of the truck, put the cigar down. We walk in there, and she's like, yeah, they're stuck. And it's like, yeah, they certainly are. I'm trying to jiggle the handle. It's not opening. And she's like, well, do you know how to fix it? It's like, nope. Do you know how to fix it? And she's like, no, I don't. It's like, well, we're going to learn together. So I'm trying to figure it out. What do you do? Oh, let's just shut off the power. That works on computers, right? You just
Yeah.
kill it for 10 seconds and it
Yeah.
fires back up. Well, that didn't work. So now it's like, well, I got to call somebody, and I have no idea who I'm going to call. No idea. So power's off, water's draining out of it. And as I was giving her a refund, saying, hey, I'll get it fixed, I'll get your laundry back tomorrow, the door unlocks. It's like, fantastic. So then I'm putting on tape over the machine saying, do not use, this is my first time. I know nothing, like, there's no out of order signs, there's nothing.
Right. Yeah.
So we got her going. And one of my favorite parts of that made me just fall in love with laundromat was pulling out the cash drawers and getting all those quarters and dumping them right back in the machine and taking the cash out. It's like, man, this is simple.
Yeah.
Like this is costing me 5 hours a week in just cleaning this laundromat. And then I was a big fan of just speaking to the customers, building that relationship, and then fell in love.
Yeah.
So that's how we got started.
That's crazy. Okay. So, I mean, you got in there and pretty much right away you got, hey, welcome to the business, right? Like
Yes.
time to start figuring things out here. You got somebody's clothes stuck in there. That's like the worst feeling too. When somebody's clothes are stuck in there, they expect you to get them out for them. You have no idea how to get them out, and you're like, I don't know what to do. That's like a horrible feeling. I've been there for sure. Uh, Usually it means there's water not draining. Just
Yes.
could be a lot of things, but usually it means the water's not draining for whatever reason, and so it won't unlock for you. Um, okay, awesome. All right, so you landed in this business on almost on accident because you were trying to buy a commercial property, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And I mean, I love the commercial property with the laundromat play. That's, I think that's a really powerful 1-2 punch in terms of wealth building because you can benefit from the cash flow of the laundromat if it's cash flowing, and you can benefit from the appreciation and force equity in the property. So awesome, awesome stuff. Tell us a little bit about the property. Is it a multi-unit? Is it a standalone building? What does it look like?
It's a kind of hacked together strip building.
Okay.
Entrances on all sides of the building. We got an ice cream shop in there. There's a chiropractor. There's a dance studio. There is a dog groomer. So it's a good little property. It
It's
was
eclectic.
on paper everything made sense. The property could support itself with the rents, even if the laundromat was not in existence. So anything that was coming from the laundromat was all gain.
Yeah. All right. When did you buy this property and the laundromat?
This was gosh, this was August of 2020, so we're right in COVID. And
Yeah.
I was going stir crazy during COVID. I mean, I ripped out a tree out of my front yard, ripped up the gas line with it, evacuated the neighborhood. It was a good time,
Awesome. Yeah.
great time.
Awesome.
Yep,
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. You seem like the kind of guy who doesn't want to just like sit around. So you gotta tear some stuff out of the ground. I like that.
right.
Yeah. And maybe stir up the neighborhood a little bit with the
Yes,
gas
just
tree.
after we moved in too. I mean, we probably lived there for 6 months, so it was a
Welcome to the
great
neighborhood.
way to meet the neighbors.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, okay. So you took over in August of 2020. I mean, what was business like? Was it making money at that point in time? I mean, that was sort of around the time, if I remember correctly, where people they started opening kind of stuff back. People started going out a little tiny bit. I think in August, maybe not quite yet. But what was it like taking over then?
I didn't know anything to compare it off of, so
That's true.
the guy said that, hey, you're getting roughly $1,000 a week. So it's like, well, that's doable. We can run with that. So business was good, and it got better as COVID kind of went away. We weren't fully masked up here, it seems like.
Okay.
So at Westside Laundry, we let you be you.
Yeah,
It was
you
a
be
good.
you. You do
Let
you.
you
I'm gonna be shirtless. You can wear a mask or not. It's up to you.
Right.
Whatever you want to do. Yeah. Okay. So you bought this laundromat. So it sounds like, I mean, you didn't really dig into like the performance of the business too much beforehand because you were mostly there for the property, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So that worked out well for you. I mean, was it doing about $1,000 a week of net or of gross? Was it net or gross?
It was gross.
Okay.
It was gross, and it was pretty good. It was doing probably around 12 to 1,400. So
Okay.
I was pleased with that because I
It's
mean you're going in there, you're just going off the guy's word.
right.
What is he actually making? We don't, what's his books? I don't think he ever even claimed it ever.
Yeah. Yeah, and if usually if they're going to estimate, they're not going to estimate low if they're trying to
Correct.
sell you on it. Usually,
Correct.
so it's nice it worked out for you that way.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, what was the laundromat like when you bought it? I mean, did it have older machines? Were the machines in good shape? Were there broken down machines? Like, what was it? What was the condition of the store when you took over?
He had a new batch of Dexter dryers, and they're fantastic dryers. I still do. I have 6 top loaders in there. I got a couple 30s. a couple 40s, a couple 50s, and I just installed some used Dexter 60s in there.
Nice.
And it's a smaller store. It's 1,200 square feet, but it was clean. It was one of the nicer ones in our town. We have 10 laundromats in our town, so it instantly I put it on Google, and 5-star ratings were coming in. It was good.
That's good.
I mean, all I had to do was clean the place. Have conversations with the clientele. It was a very simple job. I was surprised on how easy a laundromat to run was.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. That was not my experience, but I'm glad that was your experience.
The
Okay,
experience
so
was worse as we go.
I don't like to hear that. All right, so you took over. I mean, again, I mean your main investment was the commercial property. So when you took over the laundromat, like, did you have? I mean, I know you were like celebrating the deal with the cigar, and then you had the clothes getting stuck incident. Like, did you have? How did it feel? Like, okay, like I own a laundromat now. Was that like random side note? Did that feel good? Did that feel bad? I mean, what did that feel like?
That was a side note. That was a hobby.
Yeah.
I'm just running a laundromat as a hobby at the moment. It was run. I mean, it was good. We'll say that it was enough
Yeah.
to make me want to have another one.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Okay. Okay. Interest peaked. Interest peaked.
Yes.
Okay. So you got that washing machine running, and you've been going for a little while now. Like, how did business progress? What was your experience like as it kind of progressed? You said it started to grow a little bit more as COVID eased up. What's the process been like since that day one with the clothes getting stuck?
So the first store's been pretty good. It's in a quiet part of town. It's 24 hours, and that's just the way that I got it, and just kept the same name, kept running it 24 hours. We have cameras in there. We're on a little bit quieter side of town. It's been going well until all of a sudden machines start breaking, and it's like, oof, we got to learn really quick on how to repair these. And I'm a commercial electrician. I work for a mechanical company, great company, and we have plumbers, HVAC, me as an electrician. I mean, I got everything covered. So at least building wise, we're set. When it comes to fixing the equipment, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Right.
But learning quickly.
Yeah. So how are you? How are you learning? Are you just getting in there, getting your hands dirty and figuring it out, or how are you learning?
Well, absolutely. With being busy often because, like I said, we have a young family. I coach a lot of baseball, football. We're always active, always moving, so I can't always get there, especially with the W-2 job. So I was calling my soap distributor, great distributor out of Rockford. He's got a great service team, came up, and of course, I want to be in there when they're doing it, so it's like, oh, it's that simple, huh?
Yeah.
So that's how I got my education.
Yeah. I mean, I find that is one of the best ways is bring the service person in there and just peek over their shoulder if you're
Yep.
if you're wanting to kind of learn how to do some of the repairs. And I've said this before, a lot of people get really down on like doing your own repairs, and that's fine. Like, I think that's great. I think in an ideal world you don't do any of your own repairs, and your laundromat covers somebody else and they show up on time and when they're supposed to with the parts they need and get your machines running, and like all that's like ideal, right? But sometimes I found, especially as you know I know a lot of people struggle to get service people out in a timely manner, or even find good service people that will show up when they say they will.
Yep.
Some of those quick fixes, that you can do really quickly to get those machines back up and running, sometimes worth doing on your own.
Right.
So, and the best way to learn how to do that is, well, number one, ask other owners, but number two, like get those service people out there and just kind of peek over their shoulder. And if they're replacing a belt on a top loader or a door lock switch or something like that, that's fairly simple, anybody really could do it, then sometimes it's just worth your while to take 10-15 minutes, fix that part, and get that machine back up and running there. And also, a lot of times distributors have service schools where they'll teach you how to repair common things with the machines that come up too. So keep an eye out for those.
Yes, I actually attended
Okay,
one of them.
so good. What's that?
Yeah, I attended one of them, And it
Oh,
was
you
it
did.
was for Dexter. It was for Dexter. And this is
Mhm.
they told us do not use your aftermarket water valves because what happens is they're made in China. The little seams they'll split open, or you'll get a pinhole and it will hit the top of the washer and it will come down on your control board and fry the machine. And it's like that ain't gonna happen. 2 days later, the exact story happened. It was the hot water valve pierced right through it. It was the blue valve. So from now on, it's all OEM parts.
Yeah, yeah, man. And you're not saving a ton of money by buying that
No.
aftermarket one. In that part, that can cost you pretty big. That's a tough lesson to learn for sure. Okay, so with that laundromat, I mean, like, how's the experience been so far? Are you happy you got the laundromat? Is it still sort of a side hobby? What's the lay of the land now with that laundromat?
That laundromat is going to be my side hobby at the moment
Hmm.
because I just recently acquired my second laundromat
Okay.
in September of last year. And
Okay.
that's going to be hopefully my golden goose.
Awesome.
So
Well, we need to talk about that for sure. I mean, how did that second one come about? Is it an existing one? Are you building it out? What's that?
this is an existing laundromat that I had my eye on for a while because it was also a little strip building. It's got 2,600 square feet of laundromat and then 2,600 square feet of retail space, which there's a barber, a kind of like a wedding boutique, and then there's a cell phone tower that's also attached to the building. And I would drive by that place, and it's like, you know what? I'm gonna try to find out who owns that building, and I'm gonna buy the building, and then whenever the laundromat lease is up, that might become my laundromat. And that was kind of the cruel intentions that I had to start
Yeah.
with.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So
so you bought that building? Is that
yeah, I did.
okay? Did it come up on the market? Did a broker bring it to you? How'd you find that building?
Well, I found the building from the fact that my alliance distributor showed up, and we had a good conversation. And he's like, you know what you should do is you should buy Dan's laundromat over there by the post office, and it's right off of Milton Avenue, and it's probably our busiest street in Janesville,
Hmm.
and we have about 60,000 people that live in our town, and that was kind of my prime location. That if I were to buy an existing one, this is the one that I want. But I did nothing with it, and then my soap distributor also delivers soap to that guy, and he's like, "Hey, I think Dan's willing to sell. Like he's getting up there in age." And it's like, "Huh, well, all right, I'll take it for what it's worth." And I let it sit. I let it sit. And I'm sure you've heard that story of the man that was stranded out in the ocean, and he's gonna pray to God. God will save him. And then the boats come, and he's like, "Nope, God will save me." The second boat comes, "Nope, God will save me." Third boat comes, God's got me. Gets to the pearly gates, and he's like, "God, why don't you help me? Where was the help? I've been praying." He's like, "I sent you 3 boats.
Right.
This was my moment." I had the third instance come up where my wife is at her CrossFit gym, and one of the ladies she works out with is like, "Hey, you should buy my uncle-in-law's laundromat. You guys have a laundromat. You like it, right?" So my wife came home and told me about it. And it's like, all right, I'm gonna rehearse what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna call this guy. I got his number, and as soon as I call him up, "Hey, this is gonna be, it's Cory James, blah blah." Immediately, he's like, "I know who this is," and anybody who knows me, I could go either way. So I was a little nervous at first. Turns out he used to party with my dad way back in the day.
Oh, no way. That's
Yeah,
funny.
so it's like, oh
Small
wow,
world.
yeah, okay, cool. So we hit it off. It was good. He actually owns the laundromat and the building, so I didn't have to
Okay.
kind of do my kick out the tenant and then create my laundromat.
Yeah.
So he wanted to sell everything. So it's like, all right, well, I'm interested. Let's talk. Well, those distributors were also telling other laundromat owners in the area. So now people are hot and heavy for this place.
Right.
They're jumping on the roof. They're talking to other tenants, and we were able to strike a deal, which was pretty favorable. I paid too much. I definitely paid too much. I paid 505 for the building and then 250 for the laundromat. And which was funny is I just signed the papers that we're going to close on this deal, and I was a bigger pockets guy, so I would drive around at work, listen
Yeah.
to bigger pockets
Yeah.
podcasts and everything. The real estate. It's like, you know what? There's got to be laundromat podcasts. So I found yours. I found Dave Men's, and I was listening to him. The very first episode was yours talking about how to value a laundromat, and it was just like, damn it.
Too little, too late.
Yep. So we're gonna make it work. I mean, the way that I look at it is we're in the middle of, or we're just starting a football game, and I just kicked off, and they returned the kickoff. I'm a better team, so I have plenty of time. We're gonna recover from what I paid for.
Yeah, I like that. I like that mentality. I like that mindset. And, paying too much. Obviously, you don't want to pay too much for a laundromat, but it's not. It's not necessarily a deal breaker, and especially if you own the real estate. Also, you have some stuff to kind of play with there. When you also own the real estate, you can kind of move funds around and make it all work a lot of times. So yeah, it's definitely okay. Yeah, they return that kickoff, but it's a long game. You got a good game plan. You already have, your experience. You've got your playoff experience at your other laundromat that you've been learning at over there, and you're ready to go.
Yeah. So one of the things that allowed me to pay a little bit more than what I wanted to was the terms that we got. So this was right before interest rates really started hiking up. When I have a great commercial lender, and I think we had, 4.75 interest rate locked in for 7 years. I amortized over 25. So it's like, oh, those are good terms. And then we had a personal note for the laundromat for $250,000, and he was willing to do 4% over 15 years. So playing the little bit of the inflation game, hopefully 10 years from now, that's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah. So the seller's basically financing the entire laundromat purchase.
Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Because I was going to ask you if you had to lump it all together or do it separate.
Nope, we did that separate, and you need 20% down for the building, and I needed to give him some cash down on that 25 or that 250,000. So a little bit of creative financing, which I used with my very first house, is when I went to go buy this first house, I'm thinking it's 3% down, blah, blah, blah. Well, now this is a rental income property. So you got to have 25% down. I was like, well, where am I going to get the money from?
Yeah.
Well, I took the money out of my truck, so I had enough equity in my truck. So it's like, oh, well, I'll just have my tenants pay for my truck. So I revisited that on the laundromat, where I was able to pull like 40 grand out of my truck, because my truck was paid off, to basically purchase the laundromat and its equipment.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that's something that we haven't really talked enough about, on the podcast here, is the creative financing options. Because, you listen to Bigger Pockets or you're into real estate investing, creative financing is it's like the mecca, right? Like everybody's looking for creative financing, seller financing deals. Well, I always say, like, you can get seller financing deals with real estate for sure. And especially if you go commercial and sort of the smaller commercial stuff. But laundromats, it's actually fairly common to be able to get, use creative financing, whether it's seller financing or other options like pulling equity out of properties or a truck, I guess. I've never heard anybody pulling equity out of a truck, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because my interest rate on that was like 3.5, and I just extended it for 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense, especially once you have experience, right? And something that should just be said is that there's risk associated with moving equity around a little bit like that, and almost sort of cross collateralizing things a little bit. But but with that said, especially if you already have experience in the business, that can be a great way to go and finance the acquisition of a laundromat or, like you said, equipment. So yeah, that creative financing route that's awesome. All right, so you bought this second property. When was this? When did you buy this one?
September of 2022.
2022. Oh, so relatively new. We're
Yeah,
at the end of January 23. So relatively new. How's that been going so far?
it's got its ups and downs. Um,
Okay.
my goal with this laundromat is I'm going to get into the wash, dry, fold service.
Okay.
Um, we're just starting. I just got my bags. I haven't done a pound of laundry yet, but I did get software set up. So I mean, I'm ready to rock. I just got to figure out how that is all going to come together. How am I going to get the customers in the door? And then when do I set up for attendance to start processing the laundry? We'll get there. We're working on it.
Yeah. So is it currently attended, unattended, partially attended? What's that look like?
This is unattended at the moment.
Okay.
So this one is not 24 hours. Last wash is at 9. So the doors lock at 9. Security system comes on at 10:30. So they just basically got to be out at 10.
Yeah.
And I got a
Okay.
lady great lady comes in. She just cleans it at night for me.
Yeah.
Makes sure
Awesome.
everybody's out.
Yeah. So you need to figure out how you're gonna make it available for people to drop off and pick up their laundry, right?
Right.
Do that. So I mean, have you thought through that at all? Like what the plan is?
Not. I thought about it. I think we're gonna start slow, and we're gonna probably try to get by appointment only,
Okay.
and then hopefully build my brand that I have to hire people to be there. Because now I got my attendant, picking up the dryer sheets.
Right.
All the mess that goes on with the laundromat,
Yes. Yes.
especially bathrooms. Goodness, people do some unforgivable things in those bathrooms.
Yeah. It's yeah, things that you never wanted to see before happen in those bathrooms sometimes, and you're
Yeah.
like, I don't even know how this even happened. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay. So you're gonna try to shoot for like by appointment only, and then are you gonna try to put like signage up in the store? Are you gonna advertise? What's the plan for getting that initial customer base?
I think we're gonna start out with like Facebook, for instance, like hitting all the moms groups and stuff like that. I'm gonna target like the working families. Because I mean, I have 3 children, a wife. We both work, and laundry piles up. Laundry definitely piles up.
It does.
So speaking of laundry, I don't really do laundry, but
Well,
when I was
you don't
buying,
need to. You don't wear clothes. So,
you're right.
Miss
You're right.
Cory, come
Shirts to
on.
wash.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I bought my second laundromat, this is one of these moments that am I doing the right thing? Uh, my wife was at a CrossFit Beer Olympics event,
Okay.
Father's Day. I've already signed the papers. We're gonna try to close in August. It got extended out, and I get a phone call from her sister saying, "Hey, I think Callie hurt herself." It's like, what do you mean she hurt herself? Well, something with her leg. Well, she blew her Achilles tendon.
Oh no.
So, life is almost to a screeching halt a little bit. I'm in the middle of
Wow.
coaching almost every day of the week of
Yeah.
baseball. I got
Yeah.
these laundromats I got to run. We're getting to the closing date. My wife can't go upstairs to put the kids to bed. She can't go downstairs to do the laundry, so I had to learn how to do that real quick.
That's when you start that wash and fold service ASAP, so you can do your
Yeah,
own laundry over there.
well, that's
Have somebody else doing that.
that's what sparked it in my head. And then you kind of have everybody looking at you because I'm now going to be buying this laundromat. And they're like, "Is this a good time to be buying another laundromat?" Like they're thinking it. They don't want to say it to you, but you can
Yeah.
tell in your head you're thinking it as well. But how often do you see them come up for sale?
Yeah.
There's never if there was ever a good time, there's not.
Yeah.
So I had to jump on it, and we're making the best out of it. She's
Yeah.
walking around now, so I mean, life's pretty much back to normal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a lot of obstacles to overcome. And adding a second laundromat is it's a lot, right? Like you
Yeah,
you go from one can be enough as you're trying to kind of figure things out and trying to, you know, grow your business and all that stuff, and then you add a second one, and it doesn't always just, you know, double your workload. Sometimes it's even more than that because you're trying to figure out how to juggle the two, at least for a while, right?
Right.
And especially if you're trying to figure out how to, grow this second one, it's your, goose that lays the golden egg over here. And so you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I turn this into, I have the vision in my head of what it needs to be and what it can be. How do I make that a reality? And that's a lot in and of itself. And then you throw in young kids, that's a lot in and of itself. And then you have a wife who's injured, that's a lot in and of itself. And you got a full-time job, and that's a lot, it stacks up on top of each other. It could be really overwhelming for sure.
You just got to keep grinding.
Got to keep grinding, and I think too, like trying to have that perspective, like this is, it's easy, I think sometimes for me at least, to get wrapped up in the way things are right now is the way things will always be. Right. And
Right.
that's not true. Right. So you're going through great times. You can't assume it's always going to be great times, but conversely, you're going through challenging, difficult, depressing times. You can't assume it's always going to be like that either. Things will get better. Things, won't always be great. And so trying to keep that perspective, like, am I executing the plan to get what I want out of life? And if so, then you just kind of stay the course, right? And it sounds like you've been accumulating real estate. You're buying up some businesses now, trying to get that cash flow going. And that's the plan. You're sticking with the plan. Work with the plan. It's not always going to be the same as it is now. And sometimes it's tough to lay that foundation, right? Concrete's heavy stuff. So if you're going to pour a concrete foundation, you're going to have to work for it a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at in my journey right now.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot, man. That's a lot. So let me ask you this question. You could go back to, August or July of last year. Do you still buy it?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. This is gonna be my path to financial freedom by 40. And I'm 39, so I really got to get going.
Yeah.
But I can continue working. But just knowing the fact that, you know what, not today. I'm done. Just knowing that, I think, is a huge weight off my chest.
Yeah, and having that, what they call it, the FU money, right? Like,
Yes.
if something
Yes.
goes wrong, you can just say, F you, I'm fine. Like,
Yes.
I'll go do something else. I'll go do something that doesn't pay as well that's, more fun for me, or what, I'll go start my own CrossFit gym or what, whatever. Like, that FU money is what it's all about, right? And having the choices and options in life. But they don't just fall in your lap, right? You got to make that happen. You got to earn that a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So you're 39. When's your birthday? When's 40?
September 22nd.
Okay. So you've got a solid 8 months, almost to the day.
Yep.
Solid 8 months to turn this. If we're going to have you back on, we should wait till the middle of winter again. So you got to be shirtless in the middle of winter.
Absolutely.
But we got to have you back on and see if you made it by 40. There's some little accountability for you to get in there, make it happen.
Yep. No, that's huge. That's huge. Accountability is big. Like, that's
It
why I haven't even started wash, dry, fold, but I got the POS system in place.
Yeah.
The bags are now here. Now it's just, I'm not going to waste that money. I mean, it's $300 for the POS every month. I gotta start recuperating money. Like, I have new equipment that I need to buy, which is so hard, which for me, it boggles my mind of how I have no problem dropping $1.5 million on 2 laundromats, 2 buildings, but as soon as I got to spend $180,000 to get new dryers, it's like, And I have a great distributor, this Robert from Century Laundry, kind of in the Midwest here. Great guy, and he's been kind of walking me through it. Where I know he's a distributor. His job is to sell, but just do it. You'll thank yourself later, and I am, because right now I'm repairing these dryers. When I first got them, I think they only clean the lint out maybe once every other week, and I'm doing it 3 times a week.
Yeah.
So it's a hard pill to swallow sometimes, buying that equipment.
Yeah. Well, and especially right now, prices have been going up for all that equipment. Interest rates are higher than they've been in a really long time.
Right.
That
Lead
equipment
times.
you're going to do a loan. Yeah. So yeah, it is tough, but that's where the opportunities are made, right? You can kind of turtle up and not do anything and try to wait for easier times, or you can you can get it done. And, make sure you price your dryers appropriately when you get the new ones so that they cover their costs, and keep moving forward, right? Start building. What's the, I mean, you probably don't know yet because you're kind of in the thick of it, but like, what's the timeline to get that wash, dry, fold up and running?
Well, next month. That's
Okay.
the goal.
Okay.
I set myself a goal that by the end of February, this thing needs to be at least up and going and start bringing business in the doors because I have equipment to pay for now.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So let's say, I'm up there in Wisconsin, and I see your drop off service, and it's appointment only, right? So I call you and I say, hey, I want to make an appointment, drop off my laundry. What's the plan there? Are you going to hire somebody at that point once you start getting appointments? Are you guys going to cover it until you get enough volume to hire somebody? You have an idea of what the plan is?
I got a lady in mind. So
Okay.
she does the laundry for the country club, the local country club. And she's always wanted a laundromat. It's like, well, hey, let's team up.
Yeah.
Let's get this business rolling. We'll start getting appointments. We'll bulk them together so that, hey, you can come, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We'll set up a time between 1 to 4, something like that. So that's how we're going to at least get it started until I have the luxury of hiring 10 people to process laundry.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And thanks for sharing kind of that strategy. Cause there's different ways people start, right? I think starting a wash, dry, fold from scratch, that's one of the toughest things to do, I think, because you have to figure out that equation. Like, how am I going to start? Because if you start by hiring somebody, you're going to be in the red for a little while, right? Until
Right.
you get somebody there.
Right.
And you can kind of curb that, excuse me. You can kind of curb that a little bit by hiring somebody to work like a split shift, like somebody early, somebody late, or somebody right in the middle of the day or something like that. So there's little windows. But even then, you're probably going to be in the red for a little bit, and, maybe hopefully not as much in the red, right? Or you can do by appointment only, but if, it's not convenient for people or whatever, it's a tricky equation to kind of figure that out and how to get it started. And it's all about starting that momentum, I think, and get the ball rolling, try
Yep.
something, get some orders and some customers under your belt, get them spreading the word about your service, and just grow kind of steadily. And I also like Daniel Logan's philosophy. He was on the podcast a while ago, and he said, you know what, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, and you might need to go stand in the gap a little bit. You might need to go, be there, meet a customer, during one of those off times to get the laundry, because you need to get the thing started, right? Like,
Right.
there may be some of that happening too. So, yeah, that's awesome. All right. So how much time are you spending on working on these laundromats right now?
So it's actually about 5 hours a piece.
Okay.
So it's not that much during the week. Like I'm actually happy with what I'm doing at the moment. It's pretty good income for 10 hours a week.
Yeah. Is that second one? Is it making money right now?
Yes. So his numbers were also correct when we talked about it.
Nice.
That one was pulling in, roughly $7,500 a month in gross, and now it's probably grossing probably 8.5, 9, and that just needed a cleaning. That was a simple cleaning of this laundromat. I relit the place. Half his lights were working. He was a great guy, but I think he was getting older. He was getting tired,
Yeah.
and yeah, just a simple cleaning. And
Yeah.
the customers all realized it right away. You're walking in there, they're like, "Man, this place looks so much cleaner." It's like, "Oh, I appreciate it. I just bought this place. Trying to turn it around. I want to get the card readers. We want to make this like a service. Like, you're going to come in here. We'll have a kiosk. This is going to be my golden goose."
I love it. I love it. Yeah. And getting that thing. I like how, you can kind of come in, do some simple touches, light it. You don't want to light it and not clean it though. It's all it
Right.
does is spotlight on the dirt, right?
Right.
So good combo there on cleaning it and lighting it. But just simple stuff like that. Sometimes a fresh coat of paint just breathes new life into the laundromat, right?
Right.
And customers appreciate that stuff. And that's no knock on like the previous owner, right? But, like you said, sometimes, they've been doing it a long time, or stuff happen, medical stuff or family stuff or whatever happens, and they can't do it for whatever reason. But that's an opportunity for you to turn it into something that's really going to serve the community really well.
What I think happens a lot of times is like owners become nose blind to things
Yes.
as they go through.
Yes.
And that, stuff kind of falls by the wayside. Which, a good little side tangent here on a nose blind story. I got COVID a year and a half ago, back in November, and I still haven't gained my smell back. And I get a phone call at one of the laundromats saying, hey, it's really smoky, I think there's a fire. So I panic, I fly down there. I walk inside and it's hazy in there. And it's like, well, what's going on? Is this cigarettes? Do I have a fire someplace? What's going on? I have to call one of my best buddies over, and it's like, hey, can you come over? This is 9 o'clock at night. He's just getting in bed. It's like, hey, can you stop by quick and just smell my laundromat? And he's like, what? It's like, I need to know what this is. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
What's going on? So he's like, yeah, just give me a second. He comes over, and he's like, yeah, it's like a rubber smell. It's like, all right, it's one of the top loaders, right? So
Yeah, belt.
you open up the lid, and there's the guy's laundry in there, and I don't think he could have crammed another piece of clothing in there. I mean, he had to stomp on it to get it all in there. And this is my first time replacing a belt on the laundromats, or on the top loaders. And my buddy's talking to me. The guy now shows up, and he's like, oh man, my clothes didn't wash, He's like, you can give me $2 back? And it's like, man, I gotta replace a new belt.
Yeah.
So I'm pulling this washer back. This was a Maytag, so the belt was on the bottom. And I'm starting to disconnect the water line. My buddy's talking to me while I'm doing it. I'm not paying attention. So I'm spinning off the water. All of a sudden, it purges a little bit of water. Well, I didn't shut off the white rotter, of course. So now you got that 6-foot whip of your hose just flying around. I'm soaked. The laundromat's soaked. I'm trying to grasp this thing, kink the hose so at least it stopped, and both these guys are rolling on the floor laughing. And it's just like, this is a laundromat owner.
That's right. Well, hey, the good news of that is if you're getting soaked anyways, it's a good opportunity to just rip that shirt off.
Rip the shirt right off.
That's the good news. Yeah. And I mean, I think that nose blind thing is real. Like we obviously with odors and stuff, you can get nose blind, but also just seeing your own laundromat, you get used to seeing your own laundromat. You don't see it through other people's lenses a lot. And Andrew Cunningham, I think, came on one time the podcast, and one of the things he said was, have other people come in and look at your laundromat and give you, not your customers, not you, not your family, have somebody like a friend or somebody who's, not used to seeing your laundromat come in and give you a perspective on your laundromat. Because a lot of times, like you said, we get blind to the things that we see all the time, and it's not a big deal. And they see the dust in the corners of the cobwebs, or they see how the paint's kind of chipping a little bit, needs some refreshing, or things that you just don't even see anymore because you're just used to seeing it. I think that's awesome advice. Yeah. All right. So what's the plan here? Obviously the immediate plan is get that wash, dry, fold running, get that business, both of those laundromats humming, with customers, fill them up. Are you considering buying any more ever? Do you think you're going to just turn these two into, what you want them to be? What's the idea here? You have one?
Yeah, I'm looking at 3 and 4. Like, I think it's doable in the next couple of years to have 3 and 4. Something new to me is all my properties, everything I own is in my town. So I do kind of have to venture out a little bit to get that 3rd and 4th store. And those are things I'm going to think about, like, well, how am I going to operate them? Who am I going to have cover them? We have, like I said before, we have 10 in our town. Quite a few of them are zombie mats. And then you have two philosophies. Do you buy out a competitor and now it's your store? Or do we just shut them down completely and just providing much better service and
Right.
reach out to other communities?
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
Plus, you're kind of then taken away from your other customers, aren't you? Like if you buy 3, 4 stores, you're kind of robbing from your other stores. So I just maybe want to focus on making those ones great stores and have them come to my stores and then reach out to other communities.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome. So you sound like you have the laundromat bug a little bit here.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Because I think and especially as you get those, systems down and all that, you're going to feel like, holy cow, like this is great. And that's, especially with your goal of getting to, financial freedom or that FU money or whatever by 40, and you're 39 right now, you're like ready to do it. Right. And one of the things I say a lot is, the average real estate deal can't touch the average laundromat deal when it comes to cash flow. And so, if your goal is, be financially free or get out of that 9 to 5 or whatever as quick as possible, as much as I love investing in real estate and you can get cash flow from real estate, you're going to get more from a business like a laundromat to give you that freedom quicker. And then you can take that money and invest it in real estate to grow your net worth and build some equity and that kind of stuff. And I think that's where real estate and laundromats have a really good 1-2 punch. So I love that. All right, we got a segment of the podcast called Down to Business.
Let's get down to business. Over and out.
And that's where we just, get down to business, talk a little bit details about your business. So tell us one more time, where is your laundromat?
Janesville, Wisconsin.
Yeah, where is that in relation to anything like that I would know in Wisconsin?
So
Madison, Green Bay.
We're right on the interstate in between Madison and Rockford.
Okay.
Almost dead center.
Cool. And how long have you lived there? Did you grow up there?
Grew up here.
Awesome.
Grew up here the entire time.
That's awesome. All right, so you've got a couple commercial buildings. You've got some residential stuff, yeah?
Yep.
You've got a couple laundromats. That's awesome. Okay. What does it cost to do laundry out there?
Well, what I typically do at my laundromats currently, I just kind of increase the prices. I usually do the size plus $1. So your 30 pounders gonna be $4. Your 40 pounders gonna be $5. 50s, $6, and so on. I have them up to 80s. The 80s are running at $9.
Nice. Keeps it nice and clean. Nice and easy. What about the dryers? How much you charge for the dryers?
Dryers are a quarter for 7 minutes at the moment for the 30s, and then a quarter for 6 minutes for the 50s.
Cool. Yeah, cool.
Which rising gas prices, that might get adjusted here quickly.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have been feeling it, but we've been feeling it hardcore over here in California. They've just tripled and some, and
Right.
I think they may still be going up too. So that's pretty brutal. Pretty brutal. All right, what do we turns per day? Do you have a feel of like about how many turns per day your laundromats are doing?
So that's a new term for me that I just learned probably 3 months ago.
Okay.
I think, there's different ways to calculate it. I'm running at probably 2.5 to 3 turns per day.
Okay. Yeah, and just for anybody who doesn't know, because that's a good point, not everybody's going to know what turns per day is. Turns per day is the average number of times each machine is used per day in your laundromat. And just quick little side note, anecdote, or just observation on my part, I guess, is turns per day is probably one of the KPIs, key performance indicators we use a lot in the laundromat business. And it's useful. It does have its uses. However, it's limited in its usage when you talk about like an entire store, right? Because you've got top loaders all the way up to 60 pounders, and more than likely, certain size machines are used more than others. So, turns per day for your 60s could be 4, and your top loaders could be 1.5, or vice versa. And so it's useful metric to get your turns per day for your store, but it's limited usage. And if you, if you're looking to buy a laundromat or even as your own laundromat, a lot of times it's useful to see by size of machine what the turns per day is, and that can help you make decisions kind of going forward. So little anecdote there. All right, and both of yours are unattended right now, right?
Currently, yes.
Awesome. And both coin currently. You said you want to add card system. Are you going to add card system only to the second one or to both?
We're going to start off the second one. I'm in the process of trying to find one that's suitable for me because I would like to link them both together so that if I do have a loyalty card at this place, they can go use the 24-hour one at my other store.
Right. Yeah. Oh, so your first one is 24 hours. Your second one
Correct.
is not 24 hours.
It is
Okay.
not, no.
How come one is and one isn't? Just out of curiosity.
Once again, that's kind of how I bought them and just kept status quo. But also the second one that I purchased is on like the main drag. Like that's where the kids all hang out. They go up and down the streets, and I don't want people hanging out.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Do you have problems, many problems with that 24-hour one, like in the night? Because you're not attended, right?
I'm not attended. I do not have very many issues, knock on wood. Like I said, it's quieter side of town. Now and then you'll do get people coming home from the bars that want to just wander through there and use my public bathroom apparently.
Right.
But yeah, not too much trouble.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. I went 24 hours for a little while in one of my unattended laundromats, and it was great for a few months. Got a lot of new customers. Business really spiked up. But then word got out, and people started trying to sleep there and do other stuff in the middle of the night there, and it became more of a headache than it was worth. And I'd wake up in the middle of the night stressing and checking the cameras and being like, oh man, somebody's sleeping there, and trying to get them out. So I ended up going back to closing at 10. But that's good that you're not having problems, because that leaves all that time open for customers who work non-traditional hours to be able to come and do their laundry, which is valuable for sure.
Yeah, it's very valuable. In Janesville, we're the only 24-hour one. Okay. So, I mean, we get a lot of customers coming in from that. And there's, you have a lot of working parents, working moms that this is the only time they can come. I mean, it's oftentimes that I go there and clean, and you'll see moms bring their kids. It's 11 o'clock at night, and you feel terrible. Yeah. But it's the only time they can get there and get their laundry done. Yeah. So I'm glad to be open for them.
Yeah, and that's how it was with me too. It was tough to close it down because, and people would ask me too, like, oh, how come you close down? I mean, they get it, but like you said, a lot of those, working parents or just people who don't work traditional hours, they really like having that option, so they don't have to like wake up in the middle of their sleep to go do laundry during open hours and then try to go back to sleep. I mean, I've seen all kinds of creative things people try to do because they don't have that option. So that's awesome that you can do that. All right. So multi-store owner, real estate investor, ripped up. We want to know the secret sauce.
Listen up. It's the secret sauce.
Secret sauce is this. What is something that you feel like is working for you? Let's do this. What's something that's working for your businesses that other people can implement to help them improve their businesses? And what's your secret sauce to being all ripped up? I got to know here.
Well, let's start with the laundromat side of things first.
Okay.
One of the things that I found out works best is just communicating with your customers. Like, you can provide a good customer service. That's great and all. Make sure everybody's happy in their, the product that they're getting. But just actually getting down with your customers, which can be a fault sometimes. For instance, I like to have a conversation. I'll walk in there and be like, hey, how's it going today? Good to see you. Glad you're using the laundromat. And a lot of times you get oh, no, I'm doing well. How are you? Oh, I'm fine. But then sometimes you get the ones where it's like, hey, how you doing today? Well, not so good. It's like, oh, that's not good. What's going on? then all of a sudden it's, well, my dad and boyfriend both got put in prison today. It's like, wow, I got nothing to
Yeah.
compare that to. I got to sit down. Let's hear it. So
Yeah.
now your quick little hour clean is now 2 hours because you want to get the details of this story. It's kind of juicy,
Yeah.
and they appreciate having somebody to talk to. A lot of times they're just not happy. I mean, who wants to be doing laundry, half the time? And it's just a friendly face to speak to. And get to know their story. Try to compare your stories with theirs. If they're having a bad day, be like, "Yeah, you think you're having a bad day? Listen to my stories." And it just helps them that we're all going through the same stuff.
Yeah. No, that's huge too. And I mean that, talk about like building loyalty and being a presence in the community. And, a lot of times when we think about those things, we think about, what promotion can I offer? What perk can I give through my card system to build loyalty and stuff? But really, there's no better loyalty system than caring about people and hearing them out and being empathetic and, just making them feel like they're heard and they're cared about and they matter at your business, right? And to you. And that really kind of builds that loyalty. So, but you're totally right. Like, and everybody goes through their stuff, but not everybody has somebody who's asking them about that stuff that they feel like they can talk to. So sometimes having that third party, that's why I think like the bartenders, right? They hear a lot of sob stories. What's similar, with a laundromat, because it's just a place in the community that you can go. And if you're willing to listen to people, a lot of times they're willing to tell you a lot more than you'd think people would be willing to tell you sometimes. So
Absolutely. The
that's
second little thing that I like to do is
Yeah.
I have a soft place in my heart for children. Their innocence. I mean, I have young kids, so I kind of grew soft over my years. And the last place
maybe
they wanna be-
emotionally, but not physically. I just want to put
Correct.
that out. Yeah.
So kids, the last place they want to be is a laundromat. They're
Yeah.
bored. They're hanging on their mom. They're annoying their mom. They're trying to get stuff out of the vending machine. And what I like to do is I walk in there, go straight up to them, hand them a broom, and say, "Get to work." And I don't think I've had a kid turn down the broom. It's a dust mop, and they're running around. At the end of the day, you got to go and redo everything they did anyways. But I gave them something to do. They get all done, and you give them a couple of bucks. They're excited. 9 times out of 10, they're going to put it right back in your vending machine, which is perfectly fine with me. I actually had this one kid that he would see my car pull up to the laundromat, and he would ride over on his bike looking for work. And so, I was giving him a few bucks here and there, and he gets done sweeping. He's like, "Now what? Now what?" It's like, "Well, here's a spray bottle and a rag. You can wipe down some machines. You can go clean the bathroom." Well, I'm doing my stuff, and I just happen to look in the bathroom where he's cleaning, and he's got his hand in the toilet with, no brush, just the rag, and he's cleaning up the inside of the toilet, and it's just like, all right, here's $10, because there's no way I'm going to be doing that.
And I'm going to get a brush next time too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, we actually have tools for that. I'll show you for next time.
Yeah.
But yeah, taking care of the kids, because,
I like that.
the parents also see it. The moms, now they're not hanging on them. They're watching you go around, collect the quarters. It's like, "Hey, you want to hold the bag for me while I do this?" And at this point, now the bag's 50 pounds. They're dragging it. They can't carry it.
Right.
I mean, that's one of my tips.
Yeah. I love
You always
that.
got
I mean, I
suckers
love,
out
yeah.
You always got to have
love-
suckers in your hand.
I love putting the kids to work and, and you're right. Like, and it's something for the kids, right? But really it's something for the parents. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like when you're trying to do whatever it is you're trying to do laundry, you're trying to work at home, you're trying to do whatever, and the kids just continue to interrupt. It's hard to get into that state where you're actually able to get stuff done, right? That flow state. Not that you need to be in a crazy flow state to get laundry done, but things take a lot longer when the kids keep bothering you and hanging on you and asking questions and all that. So keeping them occupied benefits the kids, benefits the parents, and it actually benefits you. They're not riding around in your carts. They're not climbing up on folding tables, Supermaning off the top of machines and stuff, right? It's good for everybody. I like that. That's a great tip, and I don't think anybody's ever shared that before. So I like that. Good secret sauce, but we need how can I turn this into a specimen like you? What's your physical secret sauce here?
Oh, it's gotta be discipline. Um,
Yeah.
for me, I'm getting older. I'm slowing down, so I'm not in peak physical condition that I used to be. But it's got a lot to do with your diet and then the discipline. Like you have all these New Year's resolutioners, they go for 2 weeks, they're done. Like you gotta embrace the suck. It sucks to go,
Yeah.
but eventually over time, I mean that's how I started. I was a scrawny kid coming out of high school, and then once you started working out, because I was forced by a mentor, a coworker of mine, said, "Yeah, you got to start bulking up, kid." So we started going to the gym, and once people start noticing, they're like, "Oh, your arms are looking a little swole today." Then all of a sudden, then the bug hits. It's just like the laundromat bug. Now it's like, all right, now I can't quit. Now I got to go. So it's discipline.
Yeah, yeah, you're totally dead on. I'm training for an Ironman right now, which is
Oof.
that's why I've leaned out and I'm not as bulky as totally. No, but training for an Ironman, right? And it's like, well, I can either embrace the suck now and be disciplined and do all of my training plan. Don't skip on days. Don't give myself excuses to weasel out because that's a recipe for disaster, for spiraling down and skipping more and more, right? Don't skip any on the training plan. And, or I can just have the most miserable day ever on the Ironman and not perform in a way that I'm proud of. Right. And so, it's that consistency, that discipline, doing the little things I've found for the Ironman training where you start seeing that progress. And like you said, once you see that progress, it's a bug and you want to keep it. Yeah. So awesome. Awesome secret sauce. All you guys out there looking to, get in better shape, feel better about life, get more energy in your life, get that discipline in your life, get some accountability in there, like that mentor. And watch this episode at least once a week so that you can see shirtless Cory and be inspired. All right. So, awesome secret sauce. What do you got for pro tips? Pro tips is advice for newbies who are maybe trying to get into the business. You got any tips for them?
Pro tips.
It's the grind. It's the embrace the suck. Like there's a lot of things that are gonna happen, and it's never gonna go your way. Like once you think you got the bull by the horns, it kicks you. It kicks you. Just little sample for you. I think that my laundromats are running smooth. Everything's great. Life at home's good. Well, Christmas time shows up, and all of a sudden I had the worst week of my life. That's my third monkey moment. I don't know if you ever heard the third monkey. Your third monkey getting on Noah's Ark, and it's starting to rain. You got to go. At the residential properties, I lost like 2 furnaces. I lost a water heater, and I come to clean my laundromat after just a miserable day. I mean, it was minus 40. I think I woke up and we actually froze the water to our, we had minus 40 wind chill.
I don't even know what that means. I can't even comprehend that.
Well, it's weird. Once it gets so cold, you don't really notice the difference. You can't tell the difference between 10 degree or negative 10 to negative 30. It's not as bad as it sounds. But we lost water at we lost water to the bathroom in our house, right off the master bath. So I'm just having a miserable moment. I go to my laundromat to clean it. I walk in there, it's like, why is it so cold in here? Well, that's not good. I don't have any water in this bathroom. It's like, what the hell is going on? So now, I find out all my pipes are broke. Everything's froze. I lost the bathroom. I lost the rooftop unit to that half. And of course, it's going to be the rooftop unit that feeds the bathroom and the mechanical room. So now I'm out there buying heaters, getting that thing going. I come back the next day after I put painter's tape over the toilet, like do not use, of course somebody's going to walk in there and use it. And they don't even have the courtesy to take this tape off. They just sit on it and then run away. That's what I'm saying. Like they do unforgivable things in these bathrooms. So, I mean, the suck happens. You get everything recovered and you forget that happened. Like you have to just keep grinding, keep going. Things will get better.
Let me ask you this. I mean, it was pretty bleak day, bleak week for you.
Yeah, it was rough.
Why? I mean, this is a genuine question. Why do you want more laundromats?
I see the path. I see the path out of my working job. I see the financial benefit that they provide. It's like you said, on how much more income you can get out of a small business than you can out of a residential property. So a residential property, let's say you're trying to get $200 a door. You know, and let's say you buy a house for $100,000. Good luck. But at the time that I was buying them, that's where I was at. So $100,000, you're getting $200 a door. You know, profit. It's like, well, if I were to take that $100,000 times it by 8, then I buy an $800,000 property and laundromat, and that thing's bringing in $1,000 a week. You know, net. Get you going a lot faster. Gets that snowball rolling down a very steep incline.
Yeah. And the reason I asked you why is not because I think you're crazy. It's because I think that why is important for anybody to, especially these newbies, right, who are trying to get in the business. Know your why. Why are you trying to get in this business? Because if your why is big enough, you can handle anything. There's no problems you can't handle. Frozen pipes, you know, bathroom out of order, people doing horrible, unspeakable things in the bathroom, like broken machines, not knowing how to open a machine with somebody's clothes. Like all these obstacles get smaller and smaller the bigger and bigger your why gets, right? And so pinpointing that why, you know, because if I just took that little snippet out and you said, man, this was my week, here's all the things that happened, and then I put right after that, yeah, I'm trying to buy, you know, I'm looking for number 3 and number 4 right now, you would sound crazy, right? Because it's, why would you do that? You're a glutton for punishment, right? But like you said, you see the path, you have a good why, and it's helping you get where you want to go in life. And I think that that is one of the best pro tips that we've heard on the podcast, because that why behind everything that we're doing is what's going to lead you to success, right? You can't overcome the obstacles. The smaller your why gets, the bigger the obstacles get. The bigger your why gets, the smaller the obstacles get, right?
Correct.
And you can just blast right through them if you know why you're doing what you're doing. So awesome pro tip there. Well, in the spirit of what we've been talking about, you got any pro tips for somebody maybe who's brand new to working out or losing weight or, you know, something like that? I'll just put this out there. I didn't say this to him at all beforehand, so he's not prepped for this. And also, I don't know if you're a professional or not, but we're going to assume he's not a professional. He doesn't know you, so he's just throwing out, you know, some tips.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a professional. One of my little tips that I like is I got buddies that are overweight. I make fun of them all the time, right? You shouldn't do it, but they're your buddies, so you're always badgering them to try to.
Yeah, you got to find something. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go. One of my big key tips is to not focus on your weight, but focus on your size. So, like, just measuring your stomach. You know, nobody sees how heavy you are; they see the size of you. So that's my big tip.
I love that. I think we get, you know, and weight's so deceiving anyways, right? If you're weighing yourself, like, water is heavy. Like, go carry some water. Like, it's heavy stuff. So if you're carrying a lot of water in your body, you're going to weigh more one day than the next day. Or, I mean, you know, so I love the focus on the size, you know, and then combine that with, you know, your discipline in create a plan and follow the plan, do the plan. I love that. All right. Sorry to put you on the spot like that, but you know, you're on here, you're shirtless, you're ripped up. You got to give some good tips for those of us who, you know, aspire to be like you someday. All right. Last little segment we have is recommended resources. You got any resources you'd recommend for people to help them grow their business or themselves?
So the podcasts to me are huge. Like, it's the little things that I look forward to in my day often, you know, when I'm actually at work grinding. If I can just play an episode on my computer while I'm working, if I can drive around, you know, your mobile university, you know, as many people call it. I look forward to those. And then what I've actually learned to actually really like is the Facebook chat rooms. I'm not very vocal in them, but I take a lot away from what I see. So, for instance, boy, these people are selling a lot of this brand card readers. I wonder why. So it kind of steers me perhaps away from some of those things. And it's also good to know that other people are going through the same problems you are. How did they solve it?
Yeah. And I'll put some links to some of those Facebook groups and, a couple of, at least Laundromat. Any besides, you mentioned, obviously this podcast, Dave's podcast. Any other podcasts that you would recommend people listen to? They don't have to be Laundromat related necessarily, but if we're trying to grow our wealth or our health or anything like that, any that you'd recommend?
I know it's very common, but Rich Dad Poor Dad is one of the books that completely destroyed me. Like, that hits people differently. Like, some people will read that book and they'll be like, oh yeah, no, I got some good takeaways from it. Or you'll be like me, where you're just like, everything I thought was true. I've been lied to my entire life.
I felt the same way. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, for instance, I have all this now income coming in from the laundromats, and I'm used to getting a tax return back from the residential properties and stuff like that. And now I got to record all this income, and my tax accountant's like, hey, yeah, you're gonna have to pay in about $6,500 this year. And I'm like, I'm only getting $6,500 back? He's like, no, you got to pay in. It's like, what do you mean pay in? He's like, well, yeah, you got your self-employment tax. And it's like, nothing turned me into a libertarian any quicker than that. Taxation and theft. But yeah, man, it's that book changed me.
Yeah. I love that book. I mean, I know it takes a lot of heat. People are like, it's made up or whatever, but the perspective shift it gave to me, and just listen to tons of podcasts too, interviews with very successful people, bigger podcasts, all over the place, right? A lot of successful people say that book changed the way they look at things. And I don't pretend to be on the same level of success as a lot of those people, but same for me. Like, it changed the way that I looked at things, and it has altered the course of how I live my life, ultimately. So, I love that too. Awesome. Okay. This has been, number one, it's been unprecedented. I've never done a shirtless podcast episode before. So I'm feeling good about life right now, trying something new, doing something awesome. But this has been awesome, dude. I shared your story. I am partial to real estate investors who end up in this industry because I love real estate investing. I'm a big fan of it. But I also think that laundromat ownership is kind of under the radar in the real estate investing world. It's gaining more and more credibility, I think, but it's under the radar still. And I think more real estate investors are coming here. So I love hearing your story. I appreciate you sharing that. And so many good practical tips, like so much good stuff, especially for those of you just getting started, or who've started recently with your laundromat. So much good stuff, so much good learning happens in those first couple of years. And I wouldn't consider you a newbie by any. You said that before we hit record that you'd consider yourself a newbie. I think you've been through the ringer a little bit, and you've experienced enough to have that veteran status in my eyes. So I appreciate you taking the time to come on.
I consider myself a newbie because the first laundromat was a hobby, and now I'm going to make this a business.
Yeah. I like that too, and I like that perspective shift. Right, a lot of people get into this industry, for the side income, which is great. You can do that totally. But when you realize you can turn this into a legitimate business and really accelerate, especially if you're going for that financial freedom and accelerate it that way, that can transform the way that you look at this business, this industry too. So, dude, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah. One last tip. You may have to edit it a little bit, but it's my new motto that I've been living by, and it goes by, I think it was Thomas Edison, perhaps Socrates. I can't remember exactly who it was.
Somebody smart.
Yep, somebody smart. But if you ain't fixing shit, you ain't got shit. And if you ain't got shit, you ain't fixing shit. So pick your poison.
I love it. What a great way to end the episode. So I love that. Last question I have for you before we officially end it is, Hey, people love hearing your story. They want to reach out. They want to ask you questions about owning laundromats or, getting ripped up. What's the best way they can get in contact with you?
Absolutely. Well, Shirtless Cory on Facebook. That's Cory without an E. My parents made it simple, just Cory. And I'm also on Twitter a little bit. Cory Quality is my @ symbol.
Cory Quality.
Yep.
Okay. And I'll have links to these too in the show notes. If you're on YouTube, all the links, including these, will be down below. So, Shirtless Cory, you are the man. Thank you for coming on the show and sharing your wisdom and insight. And can't wait for an update to see if you hit your financial freedom goal by 40. All right. I hope you enjoyed that podcast episode with Shirtless Cory. I know that I did. I had a great time hearing about his story and all the lessons that he's learned. As always, pick one thing and put it into action this week. It's the actions that's going to help you achieve your goals and your dreams. So you got to start taking action. Pick something, put it into action this week. Maybe share it with somebody else to help keep you accountable to actually taking that action. Or if you need to or want to, go share it on the Laundromat Resource forums, laundromatresource.com/forums, and go share it over there and then go take that action. That's what's going to help you achieve your dreams. For me, my one action that I'm going to take actually this week is not laundromat related. I just got inspired by Shirtless Cory and the gym equipment in the background and all of this stuff, right? So my big takeaway has to do with when he was talking about discipline when it comes to building the body that you want. And for me, I'm training for an Ironman. It comes, my race is exactly 1 month from the day this episode comes out. And I'm getting nervous about it, but that discipline to just kind of keep going, keep training. And hopefully, I'll be able to finish that sucker. Looking forward to that, but thank you for the inspiration. Shirtless Cory, that's my one takeaway. Gonna stay disciplined and keep at it. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed that. And I will see you next week on the episode. Peace.